From the Good News Broadcasting Studio, headquarters here in Nairobi, my name is Eugene Ochieng. And of course, this is the Insight, where we tend to keep pace with the latest national politics and issues, myriads of issues that are affecting you one-on-one. Of course, we bring on board various stakeholders who, through them, we engage on these myriads of issues. Today, we have a panelist, we have guests who are going to talk about certain issues. And of course, today, we are looking at UHURU Succession Battle politics, where we are questioning the possibility of Jubilee ODM merger. And of course, we're going to look at the repercussions of this in the political architecture of Kenya. We are also going to question, tonight on the Insight, we are questioning, do our leaders really need degrees to perform, or do they really need degrees to legislate? And amongst other things that we're going to look at tonight. Keep the conversation flowing in our SMS line, that is 21144. You can also get us on our social media platforms, that is at GbStv Africa, Facebook, Twitter, and on Instagram. You can also find me, Eugene Ochieng, on Instagram, on Twitter, and of course on Facebook. I'm joined with three gentlemen. I am joined with Harrison Ndirangu Gachuo, who is a law scholar, practitioner at Mugani Advocates. He is a Youth Naruto Alliance Nyeri chapter coordinator. And we have Michael Arega, who is a social critic and writer. We have Ken Babu. Ken Babu is an MCA aspirant, current 2022, and a political commentator. Well, the IBC reiteration coming 2022, a degree is a must for the 6 elective nominated positions, has sent shockwaves across the political spectrum. On one side, including Garissa MP Eden Duale, the feeling is that IBC rightly pointed out a legally sound, a logically correct decree that should even have been in place immediately the new constitution kicked in. However, a handful of other politicians, including the Deputy President William Ruto, maintains that it is a discriminatory piece of legislation that aims to lock out a majority of Kenyans from leadership, making it a preserve for a narrow elitist class. Academic qualifications goes the argument is not a yardstick for leadership skills, because service is a calling from God and not passing of exams. Now the question tonight is, do our leaders really need degrees to legislate? And of course, I'm going to Mr. Ndirangu, who is a lawyer. Mr. Ndirangu, what does, you see, you are a lawyer, and lawyers have always got this notion of the law is clear. Well, I would like to ask, how clear is the law on this?
Okay, thank you, Eugene, for having me in your good studios.
Thank you.
I'm also thankful to the road for the good health. Yes. And also maybe to you again, yes, for engaging the like-minded guys whom we have here, the youthful ones actually. And I also want to congratulate them to because they have thought it is good to engage in these political processes, sure, and that shows patriotism. Yes. Now, to your question, I believe that the issue of academic papers does not really reflect the issue of leadership, because that is not the test for good leadership. Because what our people want, what will steer the country forward is good leadership at all levels, may it be the MCA, may it be the chief, may it be the president. What we want is good leadership. And now having a degree, a diploma, and any other academic qualification is not the litmus test for good leadership. That if you have this, then you are the ideal person. So the law again dictates about that issue. And we have Article 20 of the Election Act that says that anyone learning for a political post should at least have a degree, which of course the same was enrolled in 2010 with the new constitution, but has never been executed. Yes. For whatever reason, again, is known by them, who of course ought to execute the same. Then we have Article 30C of the same, which say that any Kenyan any adult Kenyan is eligible to run for a public office. So there's confusion precipitating from those two dictations of the law. But on my humble opinion, Eugene, anybody of sober mind can run for a public office, and maybe to a given extent of a member of parliament, because these are the people whom majorly their duties is to deliver to the people. And that's a task that requires one who has integrity, one who has a sincerity of the mind.
Okay, sure. Let me pose this question to Ken Babu, who is an MC aspirant in 2022, who was vying MC award, MCA at Karen Ward. Yes, Mr. What do you think about these, about the qualifications? Does the qualification reflect on the leadership skills?
Thank you, Eugene, for giving me this opportunity, and I would like to appreciate your efforts. First, before I respond to your question, I want to address the issue that the IBC brought on board. IBC is known for electoral malpractice. They've not handled elections as per the expectations of the people. And I think instead of focusing on the qualification of candidates, they should be focusing on how they can better the electoral process, so that we cannot have these issues of electoral malpractice after every general elections. Now back to you. I don't think there's a link between graduation or the degree and the leadership skills.
Yes.
We've got numerous leaders who, in the past, who are not educated as per, up to university level. But if you check even their implementation projects on the ground right now, they did massive jobs. We have leaders currently in the sitting parliament whose academic standards have been questioned. But if you go back into the ground, the people are still willing to re-elect them because they are really doing what's expected from them. And again, we also have, in the same parliament, we have educated leaders, people who have graduated, people who got close to 6 degrees, but they are doing totally nothing. So I want to tell the IEBC, led by my good friend Chebukati, that they should focus on things that concerns them. And that is bettering the election process, ensuring that if we go into election process, we don't have issues of malpractice. And like Wakil has said, Article 30 Section C gives all Kenyans the rights to contest for any post. And I don't think an individual should come and now start.
36?
It is 30, but it has a preservation. Okay. The only people who are required to have a degree is the president, the deputy, and also the governor.
Let me get this from Michael Arega. Michael Arega has been literally laughing while Ken Babu was airing his view. What do you think? Are you against this?
Okay, first I want to thank you for having me for this show.
Yes.
Okay, what I would like to say on this issue is this. We are aware that our legislators are tasked with the responsibility of oversighting the government.
Sure.
At one point, you are supposed to read the budget
and
be able to know whether it is the right. Are we past the debt ceiling?
Yes.
Issues to do with maybe at some point we have the state officers like the judiciary. They go to that house so that they can be vetted.
Sure.
My view is that you need some basic education qualification to at least be able to do that. So that when my brother Babu, and I applaud him for having the political clout for going for the MCA seat, says that IBC is doing XY, I don't find that right. Because as you said when we were beginning this show, this was something that the 2010 Constitution said that as prescribed by an Act of Parliament.
Sure. And
Section 22(2) of Election Act 2011 went ahead and said that you have to have a degree to qualify for the position of the president, MP, and all that. So personally, I just felt that for a member of parliament, for a governor, for a president, I just feel you need to have a degree.
Okay.
When it comes to the MCA, who is at the ground, maybe we may have some reservations and accept
Why
a
should
diploma.
we have reservations in the MCC?
You know, MCS, the last time I checked, we have about 1 million Kenyans
Yes.
with the degree.
Yes.
We have like 1450 county assembly, yani members of county assembly in this country.
Yes.
So if you're going to say that each must have a degree, I took a good example of Kayole, Embakasi,
Yes.
and I found that in our ward there's 32,000 members. And you try to imagine that if in a population of 40 million, we have 1 million people having a degree, what about 32,000 people? The figure was around 700. So that you are saying that in a constituency, only in a ward, only 700 people can vie for the position. You know that a good number will not want it. So that you'll end up having a narrow elite of about 50 people.
But wouldn't that be double standards, applying that to the MCAs, yet leaving the MPs? Because I think that the MPs and the MCAs, the work is oversight. And of course, even the MCs do oversight in the budget.
I agree with you, but
Yes.
we have to agree that a member of parliament, that
Yes.
is supposed, even their salaries is not the same.
Okay.
Why are we not saying that they are both legislators and they are not given the same salary? We have to know that the role that a member of parliament does is quite different from that of an MCA. At least it falls at the lower cadre of leadership. So to be favorable, and because they are people, imagine in a village, I come from somewhere in Seme. There may be very many few people with a degree. If you say that only a degree holder must be an MCA, you are going to lock a very large population of people.
Let me go to Wakili. Wakili, well, the people who think that, of course, around 41 members of parliament are the only guys who lack degrees, and the people who are supposed to pass this bill, whether the MCAs and the MPs and these other electoral seats, the people who are going to vie should have a degree or not. And yet those guys are sitting at as the members of parliament. Most of them, there's some allegations that some of them think that they're facing some competition from those people who do not have degrees, and they're likely to put it just as the IBC as recommended, that they should have a degree for those seats. What do you think about that? Is it competition?
Yes.
That is, or what do you think?
Of course, this is an issue that has been steered because of, again, political interest. Because there are those who feel that now, to do away with a given fraction of our competitors, we need to resurrect this issue so that they are knocked out. But whatever issue that we are discussing at this hour is an issue of public interest. Yes, whether Ken will deliver in the area that he is seeking, and I speak blessings of his actions, is whether he will deliver to the people of that area.
Okay.
What dictates whether he'll do it or not? Is it the degree in whichever bachelor's he acquired, or his goodwill to deliver? Yeah, and that's why I'm saying it's an issue of public interest as opposed to the academic point of view. We have the deputy president of this nation who holds a PhD, who may again is on record saying that such requirements is just discriminatory, because it will lock out so many other capable, willing, and patriotic Kenyan who will even deliver the very best out of such contestation. So I'm actually objecting whatever my good friend here is saying, because one, in as much as there is oversight by the member of parliament and also the MCA, and again, kidogo, I don't like my argument, but now it isn't that all of them don't have a degree, yeah, and that is on a degree does not test your, your knowledge. It's all about your retentive skills of how you are able to, of course, recall how to, you know, the
Mr.
chemistry
Ken,
and the
yes.
mathematics. Yeah, but the finer tips of leadership, and I'll, of course, found within oneself. Yeah, even your ascription to whatever denominations, and your moral upbringing. Yeah, because as of now, the republic, or rather our country, Kenya, has failed greatly under the hands of those who have masters, PhD, degrees, and all those. So what will steer the country forward? What will ensure that as the women in SEME, in the Lake Basin area, won't even die early, because the tedious and complex works of fetching water, you know, and doing very complex jobs that, again, at the end of the day, pocket nothing, won't last for long. Yeah, it is from a like-minded person,
Yes.
who, of course, does not even meet any academic requirement, but has the goodwill to ensure that when elected, he'll visit the Ministry of Waters and ensure and plead and persuade them to fix the water to his people.
Yes.
Similar to, he'll also visit the Ministry of Infrastructure, and his people will get better loads, the tarmacking and also the maraming or whatever. He'll also ensure that they are connected to power and such. He'll also ensure that he, as the MCA, he markets their produce to maybe the Ministry of Agriculture at within that county government. And that is what will change the lives of our mothers. That is what will change the lives of our sisters. And that is what will change the great Kenya. Again, only less than 10% of the 50 million Kenyans have graduated for many reasons.
Yes.
Yeah, whereby you'll find that a very bright young guy,
yes,
in that region or in that village that I come from,
yes,
did never make it to the secondary level because his index number or something was taken away from him.
Okay, let me just ask this quickly to Mr. Ken Babu, who is also an aspirant, who is aspiring to be MCA 2022. Well, as Regas put it, that the MPs, they need a degree because of the oversight issues, even the budget we've seen. And what do you think about it? And even Mr. Wakili thinks that we in leadership, we only need goodwill. What about those people who think that for someone to oversight, you must be, for example, the members of parliament, for you to sit down with people who are educated and do oversight on them, then I think it might not seem right, because you are not educated, and that is why in the previous parliaments, we've seen people fighting. And should we bring in educated members of parliament, or these other, or maybe these are the electoral seats? Can we see a change? Can we see a change, or do you just believe that it is based on goodwill alone? Let me ask that to Babu.
Let me say that first and foremost, I want to say that we cannot write off academics. Academics are very important, and I will urge all youths who are out there to take your academics seriously. If it's a degree, graduate, have it. But before then, do we have constitutional requirement for appointment of a CS or a cabinet secretary? If we do, how then did we have the former sports minister being in position? Constitutionally, there is no clarity of qualification of being a CS. So this is somebody who is being put into a position that holds much resources of the government and of the people, and does not have any academic qualifications. So what is the need of us being coerced to qualify or to have specific qualifications for somebody who is representing the interest of his people? Get that? So up to now, I'm not convinced by the requirement of a maximum of degree. And like my friend said, Arega, that we ought to have distinction of an MP and MCA in terms of requirement. In fact, Instead of IBC coming to push us to have a degree for all elected positions, the IBC should be, and this should go on record, the IBC should be advocating for the seats of MCAs to be left for people with 35 and below. So that at least the youth of this nation can also have somewhere to focus on. It does not make sense if you go to the village and you find a 68-year-old person who has been working in the public service for the last 30 years, coming on the ground to contest for an MCA against a 24-year-old or a 23-year-old young man. Then if this, the competitive advantage is not balanced in this situation, because this is somebody who has made money, in fact, is coming to rest in that position. It's like a retirement position, you get that? So IBC, instead of pushing us for the requirements, yes, we are going to school and we shall have those degrees and stuff, even the masters, but for the interest of that young man who has the vision, the ambitions, and is so determined to assist his or her village, there shouldn't be a degree requirement for an MCA.
Arega, what do you think about Mr. Ken's light?
I share his frustration that the position of an MCA at least should belong to the youth. However, I don't buy his argument that it should be made law. Because Kenya, 75% of this population is youthful. By the time we elect a 68-year-old man, we elected him. No.
Yes.
So that it is also something about us, the youth. We should start being able to entrust our colleagues with positions of leadership. But I would be happier if IBC spend most of its energy towards preparing for the next election. They have this bad reputation of bungling with the election, and it is on record that 2017, it was they said there were malpractice, irregularities, and illegalities. So I would prefer if they spend their energy at least working on that.
Okay.
But let us not lie to ourselves. Wakil is making a good point, but the only problem is that, as I said, to be a member of parliament, to be a governor, you are charged with a managerial duty.
Yes.
At least you should be educated. And yes, I agree that having a degree doesn't mean that you are knowledge. But that is the only, the Constitution, we deal with a number of different situations. Yes. So the only thing, we can only have a minimum and say a person should have a degree. Okay. And the same to the MP. If you are going to sit down with the budget, you are going to go to the village, you are going to find there are problems. You need to be able to translate the people's grievances into a bill. To do that, you need to be at least educated.
So Michael Arega, these people who are going to TTIs and all these other tertiary institutions, like the TVET institutions, these guys should not vie for certain seats like as MPs. Where do you want them to go?
If you look at the syllabus for the TVET and all that, the difference between a university and a TVET is on, at least in the university you are taught policy. Okay. And the people in the TVET, most of them, they're always a bit practical. Okay. They are told how to do things hands-on. If you are a builder, you are told how to hand-ons. But if you go to university, you're going to be, they at least teach policy. You interact with a lot of documents and you can really translate problems into paper. Okay. But if you go to if you get your diploma, you are, maybe if you are an engineer, you'll be very good at electrical. Okay.
Allow me say something. Allow me make a comment on what he's saying. On matters dealing with ITVETs. If you check on the KCSE results that was recently released for the students who are supposed now to join campus, 80% of those who sat for that exams are joining ITVETs. 80%, not wrong. They are joining ITVET. So if that's in 1 year, and it's going to happen because it has been happening, that majority of students who sits for KCSE joins ITVET. If we are going to proceed with this notion and idea of a degree must be there for these guys to contest, then it means that this majority of people will never have an opportunity to run for political office.
Okay, thank you so much, gentlemen.
But before you cut me, you said that somebody who goes to ITVET has practical skills, and somebody who goes to university has, the policies. At the end of the day, what we need is knowledge. Information is power. Whether you are in an ITVET or you are in a campus, you are both taught in Kizungu and Kiswahili. At the end of the day, you have the knowledge, you can articulate issues, you can discuss serious matters on the table. So it should not be an issue of degree.
Well, gentlemen, thank you so much. Well, Wakili, you have something to say just slightly before we move to the next topic.
Yeah, thank you, my panelists.
Yes.
My final submissions
Yes.
to add that.
Yes.
I would want to say, no, we are not ruling out that now the Parliament, the National Assembly, and also the county assemblies should only have those who don't have the degree requirement. We just want the composition of those guys. We don't want a situation whereby, regardless of whatever ambitions and capability that you have, failing to have a degree now means that you won't learn for that office. Basically, the good thing that this story or narrative is bringing is that this is all about political mileage of a few.
Sure. Thank you.
Yeah, and now what we want is good leadership. What we want is progress.
Sure.
Let us focus more on what will bring progress.
Okay.
These other narratives that are revolving around the politicking won't take us anywhere.
Yes. Now, Wakila, I'd love us to move to the handshake coalition. That is another topic that is trending in our political landscape. And of course, I'd love us to look at it. Of course, we've seen the President Uhuru Kenyatta's Jubilee Party and the ODM party are working on a coalition agreement ahead of the 2022 elections. And the Secretary General of Jubilee and ODM, Raphael Tuju and Edwin Sifuna, respectively, said that the two parties will field a joint presidential candidate. They further revealed that the coalition talk began in 2018 after the handshake between Raila Odinga and Uhuru Kenyatta. Well, this is something that I'd like us to delve into, but of course we're going for a short break, but when we are back, then we're going to look at this issue. Don't go away. Welcome back to The Insight. Of course, we are here with these three gentlemen discussing the hot topic of the Handshake Alliance. That is what we're now discussing. That is what we are delving into. Now, I want to ask you, Mr. Arega. We have the Secretary General of both ODM Party and the Jubilee Party saying that there is a possible merger between the two parties. What do you think about that? And what does that mean? Like, according to you, what's your thought on that?
Firstly, we have to realize that the deputy president and the president, as it looks right now, they are not going to have the same position come 2022. So maybe that's why you see him campaigning with this UDA team, while the Secretary General of both ODM and Jubilee are trying to come up with some pact. We always knew that it could have something to do with the BBI. Like in 2005, when ODM was formed on the basis of the referendum then. The no was the banana, then Nini. So we can be sure Kalonzo formed a pact with Jubilee a while ago. Kanu, before election, had done the same. So ODM may also be trying to do the same because 2022 is around the corner and people need to prepare for it. So I think that the president and the prime minister may be deciding to have one candidate for Jubilee and ODM.
And so, Wakili, what repercussions is this in the political architecture of Kenya? Should ODM and Jubilee merge? Bearing in mind that the deputy party leader of Jubilee, who is the deputy president, has ambitions in past 2022 becoming the president of Kenya. We also have seen the ODM leader, who is the former Prime Minister Raila Odinga. There's some allegations that he will go for the top seat.
Whatever merger that we've seen in our newspaper is not a thing that will come to happen. They are just doing this to, of course, test the waters.
Okay.
Yeah? Because they understand more that proceeding to do that will be counterproductive. Yeah. Why I'm saying this is because all these two are alliances formed by, I think, on the previous election time, where like ODM is a coalition of, I think, 4 or 5 for the Kenya and all those. Jubilee again is a coalition of URP, TNA, the BAS, and Kiraito Morungi, and many more. Yeah. So now, if they do happen to again form the alliance, the affiliates parties will run away, and Jubilee will be left as a skeleton, and the ODM will be left as a skeleton. Why ODM or NASA will be left as a skeleton is because the Wiper leader will run away, the Ford Kenya, Wetangula, will disappear, and these other party by Musalia and all those chiefs
Yes.
will run away, and this will be a marriage of 2 skeletons. So it won't work, and they know that. On the other bit, I think the former Prime Minister knows very well that having a merger with the current administration would mean that you will have to assume the blames of this current Jubilee. You'll have to buy that baggage of the many misdoing and all that has been blamed to the Jubilee administration. And so that will not happen. But they are just testing the waters. And again, of course, it's doable. It's within their discretion if they feel deem fit to, of course, have a merger. But again, I know it's well within their knowledge that it's counterproductive on the face of it. Yes.
Okay, well, the president is seeking, Mr. Babu, is seeking to have all leaders come together. So like he's seeking to work with all the NASA principles. He's seeking to work with Kalonzo, seeking to work with the Ford Kenya principle, that is Wetangula. He's also seeking to work with the Mudavadi. And here we see ODM and Jubilee, there's a possible merger. That is according to reports that we're being told by Edwin Sifuna and Raphael Tuju. What becomes of the One Kenya Alliance? Should they field one candidate, ODM and Jubilee, yet the president is also seeking to work together with all these leaders?
Thank you, Eugene, for that good question. And I would like to say that the president's intention of bringing on board these different leaders from different ethnic grounds is of good benefit for the nation as far as unity and inclusivity is concerned. You know, when he brings on board people like Mudavadi, Wetangula, people like Raila Odinga and some faction of leaders from the Rift Valley, we'll have that inclusivity aspect. But again, we have to be very open-minded when we are discussing this issue of merger. Jubilee, to start with, was made out of many parties, and the 2 big parties were TNA and URP. That should tell us that in the event that Jubilee decides to merge with ODM, which not all members of Jubilee will agree to that, the section of URP, the section that came with URP, will have to walk away. How is it going to leave the party at the end of the day? And remember, ODM is in the NASA coalition, and at the end of the day, not everybody from NASA coalition will buy the idea of ODM merging with the Jubilee. And if you see the way things are flowing,
Yes.
it is ODM that is discussing with Jubilee, not the other parties of NASA. If you look at Mudavadi and Wiper, they are coming as individuals.
Okay.
And again, ODM also is coming as individuals. So at the end of the day, there's going to be lots of misunderstanding and confusion in the event that they merge.
Okay. Well, Arega, you want to say something on this? And of course, as you're talking about it, all the NASA principles are, like I've said severally, and they're on record, that they have supported Raila for the longest time in his bid for presidency. Is it time now that, according to the agreement, the MOU earlier, is that Raila was supposed to support them come 2022? Is this a valid point, according to you?
My view
Yes.
is that if that is to happen,
Yes.
and if possibly they are able to rope in Mudavadi Kalonzo, and Gideon Moi.
Yes.
That will be a candidature that cannot easily lose the election.
Okay.
In the sense that our politics is deeply polarized with ethnicity. And if you bring a Kikuyu, you bring a lawyer, you bring it is, I don't like it, but it's the sad reality with our politics, that people will feel that they are now in this government. So that's why you see there are some wars in the mountain. But coming back to your question, NASA, when it was formed, they agreed that Raila should not vie again as a presidential candidate. In fact, they went further to even say that anyone from ODM does not qualify to vie come 2022.
Okay. Yes.
But the argument they are now bringing from Raila's side is that those promises that MOU was to hold in the condition that Raila becomes president. He didn't become president and he lost. So that the question will be, if you are saying that I'm supposed to give you back the baton, what baton am I giving you? That of an opposition. We didn't win as we set out to. So there's nothing to hand over to you.
Wakili, as Mr. Rega is saying, that the politics of Kenya is based on tribal. It's based on tribal politics, actually. But the hustler narrative, of which you support, is coming with another narrative based on reviving the economy that is of Kenya. And it's resonating. Is this resonating actually with Kenyans? Because we understand that as much as Kenyans need economical revival, but we also understand that the basic truth is that the politics of Kenya is based on tribal politics. Is the hustler narrative really resonating with the Kenyan politics?
I would hope that maybe we could have asked that question to the Kenyans themselves, which so many SMSs in hundreds of thousands could have showed the true position or status of that.
Yes.
Why this narrative is resonating with every other Kenyan is because is personally based, yeah, as opposed to the other narratives that have been utilized by the readers to seek whatever position they want.
Let me hear from Arega.
Okay.
Before Arega comes in, allow me to say something about the hustler and dynasty notion. You know, it saddens my heart so much, and I'm starting to understand why the young generation of this nation should buy the idea of hustler versus dynasty. You know, in this panel as we're sitting, like Wakila said that we are all hustlers. We are hustling. But I want to make it clear on record that hustler and dynasty, those are ideal. I mean, it depends on an individual thinking. You know, I can come in this panel and I look at you the way you are dressed and I feel like this guy, maybe his roots are so stronger. And then I'll start viewing as a dynasty. Get that?
The deputy president has not equated the hustler nation versus the dynasties.
Okay, let me hear from
this is a thing that was propagated by minor commander. And of course, it's not a good thing because it now poses an us versus them. Yeah? You get it? But the hustler nation is an idea that is seeking to address to the common mwananchi. That Arega, from wherever you come or anybody else, you can be whatever you want, you know. And that, as you are saying it, we cannot allow the us versus them. But again, the understanding is that you are buying what these promoters.
Actually, let me give Arega a chance.
Okay, now that they are already talking about it, I want to weigh in on this hustler dynasty narrative.
Yes.
I admire the bottom-up model approach of economy. It is nice when you listen to the deputy president talk nicely about it. It's very colorful when he talks about how he wants the Mawamboga to be brought to the table. But my problem is this. I feel that William Ruto is using it as a political strategy and not as an actual plan or an ideology. And this is why we know that Mr. William Ruto has vied before for presidency.
Yes.
When he did in 2013,
Mr. William Ruto.
Has vied for
For
presidency.
presidency.
Yes, in 2013 he vied, but he shelved his ambition for the president of this republic.
Okay.
He supported
Yes.
a dynasty.
Yes.
William Ruto only made it to politics in under the YK 92. And 97, he was the KANU, he was the KANU Secretary General.
Okay.
And he vied, and that is how he came to politics. So that when he's telling us that he wants the people at the grassroots, that they also, what they say counts. We want to see that in action. He has been the deputy president of this country for the past 8 years. What has he actually done specifically to ensure that the dreams of Mama Mboga, the dreams of Baba, that they are realized? You see, we are in a country whereby people will just tell you, we are going to build roads, and you are happy. They'll tell you, we are going to include you. Let me give you an example. In Nairobi, when we are almost going to have an election for the gubernatorial seat, UDA proposed a candidate, and that candidate was Bishop Wanjiru. Is that the face of Asla? The chairman of UDA is a billionaire called Johnston Mudama. So San Kiika is the daughter of a billionaire. Ruto himself is a billionaire. So that you can't tell us that the proletariat can be led by a bourgeois. Like the middle class, if they really feel that the economy is biting and there is something wrong, you can't have the people who have brought you to that problem to solve it.
Mr. Rega is asking a question that maybe I'd love you to answer. Mr. Rega is asking that what exactly has the deputy president done? Well, he got to politics through the dynasty, which is Moi's, when Moi was the president of this country. He supported Uhuru Kenyatta, which is a dynasty. He has been with the Raila, and he has supported him, which is dynasty.
No. I think whatever you people you are saying are against the spirit of patriotism, because this issue of dynasty, I don't know where it came from. You see, Mr. Eugene, when I say that you are not faithful,
yes.
You should not again say that I've said that you are a prostitute, yeah, or something of such sort, yeah. And that's why I was briefing my brother here that the Hasura Nation was an ideology founded by His Excellency, the Deputy President. And he was trying to send a message to every other...
Well, let's leave the ideology. He is asking that what has the deputy done? He has been the deputy president for 8 years.
For 8 years,
Over 8 years. He has also been an MP. What has he done to the Mama Mboga, to the Babas, which he's talking about? So that the Mama Mbogas and all the Babas, these guys can believe in the bottom-up approach economic model.
This approach is an idea that was embraced some 3 years ago.
Maybe if you just tell us what he has done.
What he has done, no, I'm saying this the bottom-up approach economic model, sorry, is an idea that he embraced, or rather he came up with some 2 to 3 years ago. So it's not a thing that he came when they were taking power in year 2013. He has achieved so much, especially on the first term. One of them
it means that he's right
infrastructural.
That it is a political.
No, he wants to know. He wants to know what he has done in the 8 years that he has been the deputy president of this nation, and that is what I'm responding. One, when they took power, they sat and they saw that for them to propel the economic development, they had to check on the infrastructural development. And you have had, as you have heard the president say, whatever they've done in terms of roads and the rail has not been achieved by the 3 regimes that have been there previously. When they took power, only 11,000, and this is the proper statistics, only 11,000 kilometers were done through tarmacking. As of now, and as we are headed to year 2022, around some other, on top of that 11,000,
So there are
some
a lot of
other
things according to you,
15,
there
some
are a lot
other
of things.
15,000
If-
kilometers have been
So
done.
there are a lot of things that
When you
has
go to
been
the issue
done
of
today.
tertiary institutions, the TVETs,
Wakili-
they've been founded in every other sub-county level.
Okay.
Yes?
That is the
issue
deputy
of, power
president.
connectivity.
Okay,
And
sure.
this was what to...
Makola,
what
regular
the-
support,
Okay,
sir.
if I have to say something,
Yes.
the bottom-up economic model,
Yes.
I've done my research about it. It has nothing to do with infrastructure.
Okay.
In fact, it has a lot to do with small businesses.
Exactly.
Yes.
Ensuring that
The common-
barriers such as taxes,
Yes.
the regulations are not there.
And Wakili is talking about
Wakili
infrastructure.
is
Okay.
talking about the Jubilee Manifesto infrastructure agenda,
Okay.
which even if you look at it in the real sense, it favors the higher class than the lower class. Now, what Wakili is telling you is that Ruto embraced this kind of
2 years ago.
2 years ago because he was preparing for 2022.
Exactly.
It is not an ideology that it stands for. It is an econometric meant to win power.
Okay.
That's not the difference.
Okay.
What we want is this. As a leader, we want to see you develop in something you believe in. And we want some sort of consistency. I struggle as a Kenyan. If today you tell me that you support Uhuru Kenyatta,
Yes.
then somehow you people have a problem with the handshake, and he's now looking like he's not going to support you.
Yes.
Then he's now he's a dynasty and you are a hustler. I fail to understand that. You see, if you look at what the Jubilee government has done, that Wakili is talking about, the infrastructure and the four agenda.
Yes.
They were to do this thing with the deputy president, but
Yes.
of late the deputy president,
No,
whether
was,
sidelined
knocked out.
Sure.
Let me say something. Let me say something on the same.
Okay.
To wrap up this issue of Aslan stuff.
Yes.
I'll also be
It,
back on it.
in Africa, generally in Africa, leave alone Kenya, in Africa, for a political aspirant or a politician to survive in Africa, there are only two things that happens. Number one, a voter must remain poor. Number two, a voter must not get the information, the knowledge.
Wonderful.
Now,
And you're vying for MCA. That is okay.
I'm saying this, let me get my point.
Yes.
We are the young people who are looking into power, who are looking into change. We ought to come with different approach of this, of getting into power. Our fathers, our forefathers, our leaders are now, dipped us into the idea of a voter must not get the information, a voter must remain poor, so that nikikuja kwa ground, I give you 50 shillings and you vote me. So we, the youths of this nation, more so the people sitting on this panel, we need to convey a different information, different from what our fathers or our team, our party leaders
So is that
are
related
pushing for.
to Dynasty Question?
So Dynasty and Hustler is coming in this way. The deputy president is pushing for Hustler Nation. If you want to be elected to lead drunkards, you must be drinking. What am I saying? This is just but an example. The deputy understands that majority of voters in this nation are the people on the ground. Are the Mamamboga, are the Mamambogas, are the Wanjikus. That's the same way Arega has put it. This thing is a political move, so that he gets to win the hearts of people on the ground.
Okay.
Look at that.
So it is
So
not-
Wakili, my question to you is this. My question to Wakili is this.
Okay.
Make me understand that after 2022, will there be still hustler narrative?
Okay, good. Well, I'm happy because of your robust debate. Now, if I go back to whatever manifesto,
In a second.
and I may want kindly to expound this, so that, of course, he's settled with whatever I'm saying, kindly. When the Jubilee government took power in year 2013, we've understood that they've done much of whatever, I think 60 to 70% of whatever they had promised to the Kenyans. Were it not for the serious hijacking that was done by Raila Amolo Odinga, they could have done much more of whatever promises they had in year 2013 and 17. So whatever I'm saying here is this. And again, more than, I think, more 5 or whatever times, the deputy president have been trying to, of course, persuade those who are in different ministries, and even recommending to the government, which he was kind of shelved, or because you've seen these that lately it is even the Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga who is commissioning roads and all that. That is to say that the deputy president was knocked out. This is an approach that he is seeking.
Yes.
And he has confirmed to us that this is what I seek to have done.
Yes.
And looking on it, as he was saying, our country have roasted a little on this, that the administration in power is seeking to address the issue of capital-intensive projects, like the overpass or the expressway that has been financed with some 60 billion, which is just, I think, a section of 15 kilometers. Does it have any economic value? Will there be a mamaboga? Will there be a boda rider who will be moving from JKIA to ABC Press? Yeah? But our country is more of a labor-intensive country as opposed to these capital-intensive projects.
Make me understand. Is
if,
the hustler...
if out of the 60 billion,
okay, is the hustler...
maybe 1 billion was given to every other county, it could go a long way to give some capital to those who want to start businesses.
Yes.
The bottom-up approach seeks to work with those who are on the ground.
Yes.
They seek to, one, legitimize the informal sector.
Yes.
Like yourself, with your good 10,000 shillings.
Yes.
If you go and buy some merchandise, may it be these good cups, from Gikomba, and want to sell them at around
Mr.
Duri
Diramo,
Avenue.
is the hustler narrative only about Mama Mbogas and the Babas? Because
this is
talking about, you're asking whether...
an approach that have been utilized on works with even companies.
Okay.
Companies like GBS seek to have other affiliate GBS companies support it. Yeah, if I may put it in that concept.
But we're just talking about
whereby
Mboga.
now,
It makes it seems as if
the county of Kisumu will be assisting the national government to run its function, as opposed to them relying on the national government.
We're coming back to you. Let me give Arega a chance.
Let me clarify on something here.
Yes.
When I tell you that this is a political strategy,
yes.
I'm looking at a history. In 2013, Uhuru and Ruto campaigned on the platform of ICC. They said that Raila and some other people unscrupulously put them into this court. That was one platform of campaigning. The second one was that the two communities which have been warring for in the 2007, Kikuyu and Kalenjin, have now come together, and this is now peace. That's solved then. In 2017, it was more of predicting doom, saying that if you elect this disorganized opposition, they're going to take you nowhere. We may not have done very good, but look at the option you have. So in 2022, because he is not with Ruto, he is not with Raila, he is not with Uhuru, he has to come up with a new strategy. And it is a strategy, as you are asking the Wakili, and he is not able to answer you. Is it the bottom-up approach we are talking about? Is it just about Mama Mboga? You know, while we need to strengthen our microeconomics, we also need to think about other sector of this economy. But it sells if you talk of Mama Mboga because of pity.
Yes.
You'll realize that these people are suffering and they need help. It is working with your emotions.
Yes. We are ending the show actually, so let me give you just a moment to maybe give your last remarks. That is Michael Arega. And Ken, we're also going to give your last remark. Michael Arega, what do you think?
Okay.
In a few,
okay, what I'd like to say is that as 2022 comes, Kenyans are again faced by an opportunity to elect the right leaders and reject the wrong leaders. We, as youths, for example, form 75% of this population. And whenever there are election disputes, we are the people who die, we are the people who try to protect these old people. So my appeal to the youth is that let us take this opportunity to use 2022 as our first step towards ensuring that people like Mukisa Kitui, people like Kivuta Kibwana can also stand a chance to be the president of this republic. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Ken.
Well, I want to say thank you so much for having us here. And we are facing the elections, just like you said, and I want to say that youths who are out there with the potential, vision, and focus, who are aspiring for different political seats, I want to tell you, go for it. This is your time. Go for it. Nothing beats experience. Go for that seat. Do what you can do. Getting a chance, implement whatever dream and vision you have. And for the people of Karen Ward, I want to assure you that this is the right person. Come 2022, tukutane pale, tuchape kazi, so that we can make a difference. The change that we've been looking for is right here in front of you. Asanteni sana.
Okay, as we wrap the show.
Thank you for having us here, and also for the good time that we've had on these stations. I look forward to even having more constructive debates and analysis of the political happenings in our nation, which are good for us. Yes. Mine is to, of course, pose a challenge to every other Kenyan to do the needful, to do what it takes to have a better Kenya, because that is what is required of us, and which again is vested on us by the Constitution, the chapter 1 of our Constitution. Again, greetings to the people of Mokoreni, whom I have in mind. I want to tell them that I have them in mind, and every other young Kenyan out there. I just want to encourage them to do whatever activities they are doing, the hustling, those who are schooling to proceed with the schooling, and ultimately we'll deliver this country, because it's now in our hands. Because I can say this authoritatively, noting that when we'll treat back to mashinani, we'll resonate, we'll argue, and of course agree on that which ultimately will bring the nation and more so leadership in our hands.
It's interesting how Wakili is vying for the MP, the member of parliament, Mukureni constituency, but hasn't told his people. Just tells them that he has them in mind. Anyway, it's interesting. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for coming to my show tonight. And of course, this is the Insight, where we talk about politics. We talk about things that touch on your lives one-on-one in the political landscape, that is in the national politics of Kenya. Today, I had these three gentlemen, which we have conversed on these issues. Thank you so much for tuning in the Insight, because this is where you need to tune in. Every Friday at 8 p.m., you find us here on the Insight. My name is Eugene Ochieng, and I've been holding the fort as your host for today's show. This is the Insight, and thank you so much. Have a good night.